Hey guys, Splend Shepherd here. Today I'm going to be unboxing the highly anticipated Constellation Alpha joystick grips from Virpil Controls. Those that already follow know that I've been waiting for this moment for a very long time, since November 5th, 2019 to be exact, which was during the first public pre-order sale for the Alphas. We're going to dig in, install these bad boys, and see how they feel. But first, a brief backstory. Virpil Controls, based in Belarus, has been making high-end flight simulator controls since early 2016. They've got replica selections for realistic flight sim enthusiasts, but also a smattering of fantasy joysticks for the sci-fi space flight sim crowd. The Alphas fall into the latter category and in fact are directly marketed to Star Citizen backers, as this promotional video from February clearly shows. It's also no coincidence that this grip, which is the second in the Constellation series, shares part of its name with one of the first and most widely recognizable ships in the Star Citizen universe, the Constellation, making it ripe fruit for common search engine terms. I play Star Citizen a whole lot. As a developer myself, I'm extremely interested in the tech the game promises and sometimes delivers. As soon as I heard about Star Citizen, I signed up as a backer.
Please welcome Chris Roberts.
Fast forward 8 long years later, and Star Citizen is now the most crowd-funded thing ever. The game has long outgrown its original goals, and has even dipped into private funding, making it a big, controversial experiment that is either the greatest thing to ever exist or the worst, depending on who you ask. But we're not really here to talk about Star Citizen. We're all about these tangible, out-of-alpha alphas. Let's get started. There are actually 2 Constellation Alpha grips, one for each hand, making it great for both hands-on throttle and stick pilots as well as dual-stick pilots like myself. It was a pricey investment, especially if you include the stick assemblies which are required to mount them. I ordered these 2 Mongoose T50 CM2 bases and 200mm extensions a few months back. Unfortunately, we live in unprecedented times, so I'm going to be taking some precautions as I open the box up, cleaning and disinfecting as I go. Bear with me. The box's packaging is pretty standard. Mine was taped a few times over. The shipping label there is on the front in case you need a reminder of how much insurance you should have put on the package. I'm just using a standard kitchen knife. Sharpened, I will say. It is very sharp. I will point out that the cardboard here was kind of wonky. You can see it's kind of folded in weird ways and looks like it was kind of mashed together. I appreciate their recycling whatever that might have come from, though. Inside the box are 2 smaller boxes, one for each joystick. These 2 are also wound in tape a few times over. Inside this box is yet another box. It's a thin cardboard box with a fold-out side, no tape. I couldn't figure out exactly how it opened at first, but just give it a little tug and it'll reveal itself. Because of the way I had to open it, it was packed in upside down, so I flip it. First thing you notice is the foam, layers upon layers of foam, and on the very top, what appears to be a Constellation Alpha commemorative dog tag of some sort. I haven't actually opened these yet, I'm kind of just letting them sit for now. Tons and tons of foam packaging, cut in multiple layers, and then the crown jewel. It's got a bit of heft to it. The package weight said it was 4 pounds, so these are about 2 pounds each. Feels sturdy, solid. A little bit of a disinfectant wipe isn't going to hurt the stick. I feel it's prudent to be safe right now. Plus it only takes about 30 seconds. Box number 2, no surprises. Double the dog tags, as it turns out. And this would be the left grip. One of the first things I noticed about these was I immediately had to take the hand rests and make them pretty much as low as possible. I have pretty wide hands. After that it was comfortable. It took about 2 seconds. Prior to today, I've been using dual Thrustmaster T16000 sticks, which are shockingly good for their budget price, but lack the sheer volume of controls offered by the Alphas. Let's list them off. You've got your X-axis, Y-axis, and lockable twist axis, which is pretty standard. Then you've got a dual stage trigger and a dual position flip trigger, which can be combined for even more inputs. There's an analog stick with a push button, 3 4-way hats with push buttons, a 2-way hat with a push button, 3 standard digital buttons, a brake lever axis with a button, and a scroll wheel with, you guessed it, a button. In review, we've got 5 axes, 4 trigger stages, and over 20 individual bindable inputs per hand. If, while using these sticks, you have to take your hands off of them for any reason other than typing an explanatory message to your significant other about why there's suddenly a gaping hole in your joint bank account, then you're doing it wrong. With the Alphas, the mind-boggling amount of inputs are kind of the whole point. This is a step up from the grip's direct ancestor, the Virpil Constellation Delta. As it turns out, Star Citizen is a game with many bindable controls, and the Alphas are designed to be the solution. For me, it's a gigantic step up from the Thrustmasters I was using, which had a grand total of around 11 digital inputs and only 3 axes per hand. But all of this number crunching is meaningless until we plug them in. Let's do that. Installation involves lining up an old-school 5-pin connector to your base assembly and then screwing down the grip's nut onto the threading. Not too bad. Plug them in and get comfortable for a while because now the madness begins. To configure these beasts, you'll be using Virpil's own VPC software suite. It's highly configurable, but your first time using it will take a bit of patience. Let's hope it's worth the effort. Once you've got some semblance of a comprehensible control scheme roughed in, it's time to put it through its paces. First, I will be testing it on the race courses in Star Citizen, since that's where I'm most comfortable. It took me a few hours to figure out where I wanted the controls to go, and once I got in game, it was like taking baby steps all over again. The grips are girthy and take some getting used to. You'll be using quite a few different hand positions based on what controls you're using, making the experience much more dynamic than when using more simplistic grips. I'm currently using the left brake for my afterburner, and while it feels great, it might not stay that way, since I feel like I get more maneuverability with a different hand grip. On my previous joystick, I used a thumb button, so it's possible I just need to get used to it again. However, I will say that the grips feel great. Everything feels incredibly solid, and the material quickly gets warm in your hands, making it quite comfortable. Next up is some combat testing. Despite having at least 4 different stages on a single trigger, I never felt like I didn't have complete control over what was happening. The triggers feel super solid, but light enough that I could easily flip the main trigger back into the off position with virtually no effort. Having this many functions so easily available gives me so many options and reduces the time I need to make things happen. It's a game changer, and I'm excited to see what I can do with the Alphas after better memorizing all the new controls. And that's it for this short review. I could go into detail on every single function of this incredible piece of hardware and the mesmerizing customization options in the VPC software, but that would take hours. I believe the Alpha is a worthy buy for those looking to take their simulator experience to the next level. To see more of the Alphas in action, be sure to follow me on Twitch and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. If you have any questions at all, join me in a live stream or shoot me a message and I'll be sure to answer it. This is Splend Shepherd.